Hello, Waze community. Welcome to another exciting edition of Waze Community's Office Hours. I am your host, Brett, and it has been a very long 2 months since we've seen you, but we are so happy to be back together. I just want to thank you all for all of the outpouring of love and concern that you've shown for us. As many of you know, our home office is based in Tel Aviv, where there's currently a conflict going on. That being said, for today's episode, most of our guests are coming in from Israel. So if there is a alarm, they might have to go run for a bomb shelter. So at that point, I will take over. I'm not in Israel. I'm actually in the United States right now. So we will make the show keep on going on. So with that, today we have two really awesome topics that you all have been asking about for many, many years. The first one that we're going to talk about is permanent hazards. And for that, we have the Darth Wazer himself, Gil, who's going to show you all what they've been cooking up. And then later, we're going to talk about major change in speed limit, which is our hackathon winner. So with that being said, I'm very happy to bring up Gil, our Darth Wazer himself.
Hello.
And let me also bring up your screen, and I will get rid of myself and let you take it away.
My bad.
Oh, wait,
And
sorry. First,
yeah,
I forgot, as Danit just put in, if you all have questions, we just dropped the link into the chat. So make sure to submit your questions for Gil, and then we will get to them as soon as he's done. All right, Gil, now you can take it away.
and please note, Brett, that I don't have a second monitor here I'm at a different location in Israel, so I don't have my usual home office. So if someone wants to say something, if there's any comment, please let me know so I can go back to the other screen and read the comment. So hello everyone, and really thank you all for joining. It's really awesome to be in another office hours arranged by our wonderful community management team. I hope that everybody knows me by now. If not, my name is Gil, and I'm a product manager in Waze, Darth Wazer, as Brett called me, but the veterans one know me as the Waze Mole and so on. So today I'm going to talk about permanent hazards. It's one of those. I think it's the oldest request we have not fulfilled, I think. Um, and I'm really excited to show you some stuff that we've been doing. So I'm going to talk about phase one first. So we decided to split permanent hazards into two phases. The first phase is the point on map hazards. So we have all these specific hazards. We did combine it with the cameras. I'll discuss the cameras in a second. But the idea is that if you want to add a hazard, you just go to the hazard. If you want to put like speed bumps, you can just place it. You can see that it will nicely snap to the nearest segment, and will give you a preview location of where it's going to have where it's going to snap to. You just drop it, you save, and you have a new hazard. Um, if, for example, you go to a bi-directional road like here, and you put, let's say, you put another speed bump hazard, then um, then you can do. 1 second, I'll save it. Is it a bi-directional? No, sorry, it's a one way. But let's say I'll change to two way for a second. Yeah, it's okay. So you can then change it to two way or one way for the hazard, so you can decide the directionality in which the hazard is going to affect the traffic. So that's really cool. And of course, it will be smart. So if you put it as two way, and then you change the segment to one way, it will affect the directionality of the hazard as well, and will change it in any way you want. For cameras, we are still using the old interface. So it is simply added to this menu because we wanted to unite everything under hazards. But you can go to, speed camera. You can place it here, and you can do this. We are going to, at some point, hopefully in the near future, I can't commit yet, fold this under the same functionality of the current hazards with the nice snapping mechanism and everything. But for now, it will look in as the normal camera interface. And the same goes for railway crossing, which is also using the previous interface. But all these are new hazards. Um, the way that they will be shown in the client will be a bit different. There will be hazards, an alert server that will also make sure that we don't flood the drivers with too many hazards. But some hazards, like topes, for example, these are the very nasty speed bumps that are common in Latin America mostly. They will always alert the user. So if you put a tope somewhere, if you put a tope somewhere, singular is tope, I learned that in the Latam Mega Meetup, then you just put it here, and this is a special kind of an alert to always display. Um, yeah. So that's the first phase. As I mentioned, it's a point on a segment. Just to be clear, if you do something like this to a segment, as you can see, the hazard will move to the closest location. You can split the segment. You can do whatever you want. It will work really nicely. And the second phase is our well, to be honest, the most impactful, I think, part of permanent hazards, and that's school zones and the advanced scheduler that we've been looking for a long time. And for that, I would like to call in my favorite UXer. Can I say that? I hope I can say that. And Shai. So Shai will show you guys our phase two and the scheduler and give you a run throughout the feature.
Hi everyone, thanks Gil. Probably some of you recognize me from the Barcelona Mega Meetup. Hi again. And if not, so nice to meet you. And you probably came across some features I designed, like Koi Fish and Issue Tracker. And these days, like Gil said, I'm working on the scheduler that is going to be developed as part of Permanent Hazard Phase 2. While designing it, I was working with a spreadsheet with the use cases you actually gave us from the community, from real live cases to help me design the feature. So that was really helpful. And some of you, hi everyone in the chat, some of you, I hope, also saw the forum post 2 weeks ago in which we asked for, let me just stop this annoying noise. That's it. So hopefully some of you also saw the forum post 2 weeks ago where we shared the design I'm going to share with you now. We got really, really valuable feedback from you guys. So thank you for participating. And some of the feedback you gave is already implemented in the design. And some also will be implemented soon. So let's go over the prototype together. So I hope you see my screen. The first part of the design was designed by Nadav, my colleague. So just important to say. So I went here, I'll restart. I went here to the top nav, select hazard. And as you can see here, we have school zone. I'm adding a polygon. And here on the left, I'm adding school name and the wanted speed limit. And here I'm going to click and add a scheduler. So I need either to create a new scheduler or I can add an existing scheduler. So let's start with creating a new scheduler. So I gave it a name. I press add. And here we have, I didn't say the scheduler is built in a way that we're creating a time frame that the scheduler is applying on, and then we're creating exclusions that will be excluded from the applying scheduler. So we can see the green banner indicates this is an applying scheduler. So I'm going to add the name. This is a prototype, so I'm just clicking instead of typing because I cannot type inside. And I'm going to add the dates, and then I'm going to select days. So let's go with days of week. I can multi-select some of them. And I'm going to add time session for the days. So I can either select for all selected days. I can add a few time frames, or I can select per day. And then I have the days that I selected up here displayed down here. And I can select time frame for each day. I can also here add more than one time frame, and I can change from hours to set according to sun. So let's say 30 minutes before sunrise or sunset, this can be changed. And let's define the frequency. So I wanted to repeat. Let's say I wanted to repeat every year and never ending. And I'm going to click done. So here we have the applying time frame. You can see in the small chip. And now let's go and add another time frame. This was changed as part of the forum post from 2 weeks ago. So thank you for your feedback. And I'm going to add an exclusion. As you can see here in the red banner, it's saying this is an exclusion scheduler. So I'm now going to add the holidays that will exclude from regular school hours. Okay, so I give it the time frame, and I'm going to select holidays. And under here, I'm selecting which holidays. The indication for the dates is something that also was added by your feedback. So thank you very much for that. And I'm selecting the holidays, and here I can add an offset to those holidays. So let's say the holidays end one day before Christmas, and I also plan to add here more than one offset. And you can also set like special days instead of holidays. You can do it by custom, and here it's dates of months. So we can select certain days in certain months. Or we can change this to be days and select, let's say, first Sunday of September. And also here, yay! Also here, we can add a few time frames. And these we already went through. Okay, so let's hit done, and we can see like a summary of what are applying and excluding exclusion schedulers, and we can add more and multiple schedulers. And we can also make this public. This is something we're still looking into, and we might gonna change where it is and how it is done. But just for you to know, we're planning to do scheduler templates. So if a person build a template, some other editors in the same country can use it also. So let's hit set schedule, and we can see a summarize of it on the left panel. And I will drink some water. Excuse me. And now I'll restart the prototype, and I'll show you how to choose an existing scheduler. Just a sec. Blah, blah, blah. So here, when you choose the name for your scheduler, you can either add new or select an existing from a list. So I selected existing scheduler B, and I see here it's all of its characteristics, who created it, and where is it applying. And just use it, as simple as that.
Hey, Shai, we got a couple of questions in the chat. Would you mind taking them?
Yeah, sure.
So the first one from Stephen is, will we be able to draw a polygon that isn't a rectangle or a square? Like if
Yes. So I saw this also from the feedback from the forum post. And yes, this was only for the prototype. I created this way because it was like easiest for me to do. But yes, it's a regular polygon.
Awesome. And Mike wants to know, well, first, this is amazing. And
Thank you.
secondly, will the scheduler be added to the segment restrictions and place open hours as well? Or is it only going to be for permanent hazards?
So Gil, correct me if I'm wrong. So it's going to be at the beginning only for school zones, and later on we are planning to add it to more entities on the map.
Yeah, the idea is that this will be one scheduler to rule them all, and we are going to replace all the scheduled objects in WME to use this scheduler. We might make it a bit more complicated or less complicated depending on the feature and the requirement of each feature, but it will be the same mechanism for all the schedulers. And maybe we can, once we'll introduce templates, we might be able to use one template for holidays or for special things in each country to apply for different types of schedulers, like restrictions, maybe time-based speed limits. I don't know, things like that. So that's the idea. By the way, I think that sunrise and sunset are mostly relevant for speed limits rather than school zones. So we're giving you a quick, let's say, peek into the future here.
So here's another question from Madan. Are we working on Sunday to Friday? I can't choose in mockup. Not quite sure.
So maybe when you were playing with the prototype, that's what you mean. So it's only a prototype. So I built it like that, but you could choose whatever days you want. It won't be like fixed like it was in the prototype, if that's the question.
And then another follow-up from Al on what Gil was mentioning. So this added capability would eventually carry over to things like time-based segment restrictions?
Yes, we will replace every place we have a scheduler will eventually be replaced with the advanced scheduler.
This was actually this question from Tom here on sunrise and sunset would be useful for questions at some parks. This was one of the things I thought was really cool about the feature, that you dove so deep into finding the database to know sunrise, sunset throughout the entire planet to pre-program into this is really cool.
To be completely honest, it's a few lines of code that automatically calculate based on location, time of year. You
Don't
can
tell your secrets, Gil.
yeah,
Come
it's a
on,
secret.
come on.
Oh yeah, I manually went and wrote down by hand every
Yeah.
point on the map. No.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So unless Shai, you have anything else to preview, let's jump into some Q&A. Sound good?
Yep.
Cool. So our first question from Pablo. Do you have a demo for how it is displayed in the Waze client?
Which part? Phase 1 or phase 2?
Well, let's start with phase 1 if we
The
have.
answer to both is no, but I wanted to ask you phase just in case.
Fair enough. Moving right along. From Al. I'm guessing it will be up to the community to determine general rules for adding hazards, but what did you have in mind when you came up with, for example, the dangerous merge hazard or a dangerous split?
I can take that. Basically, it's something that came up for Guardian. So I'm not sure if people here are familiar with Guardian, the new feature that was just announced, where we tell drivers about areas with higher probability for crashes. And the idea is to add this kind of information, like a dangerous merge or dangerous split, and then Guardian can use that to give more context about why there are these I mean, why what should people be careful about? Not just to tell them, hey, this area has more crashes, this area has more crashes, but also it's a dangerous merge, a dangerous split, and we will. The idea is to show these Guardian points on the map so you guys can add the extra context with your familiarity of the area. Oh, sorry, Dalia, I had no idea it's an internal name. Yeah. Okay.
And thanks from Al. Okay, next question. From Jean-Francois, can you show how specifically the school scheduler shows in the app? Nope, so we don't have, unfortunately, any client mocks to share with you today. We are only sharing from the WME. But
but if you want, I can just give an oral overview of what's the idea.
That'd be
So
great.
for some alerts, the points on the map, the idea is that it will be like very similar to the current alerts we have for a car or a car on the shoulder or police, something like that. Um, and it will be capped, so we don't not every alert will appear all the time. If there are too many alerts at the same location, will only show a subset, or if there's the repeating alert of the same kind, will only show a subset of these alerts, just to give an idea about the area. Again, TOPIS are a special use case. For school zones, the idea is that once a user crosses the school zone threshold, we will display that they have entered a school zone. If they go back and forth and they, in the same 2 minutes, they go out and back and out and back, we will not annoy them with too many school zone alerts. However, the speed limit that is set for the school zone will change the actual speed limit in the client. So once you enter the polygon, the speed limit drops, assuming school zone is now in effect according to the schedule, right?
Thanks, Gil. Let's take one real quick from the chat. Stephen asked, will it be possible to add these new alerts from the app or just from WME?
It's a good question that we already looked into. I want it to be added from the app because I think that drivers also have a lot of insight that can give us hints specifically about topes and things that are really hard to know from overhead imagery. I don't think it will happen in the first phase, but it's something that I already brought up with the other product team that does the client side, that we want this signal coming in from users. So in my mind, we'll have map suggestions coming from drivers where we will aggregate suggestions coming from drivers and try to be smart about it and try to find, to reduce spam and just say, a lot of users think that we should add this kind of alert in this location, and then editors will be able to quickly, accept or reject the suggestions.
Cool. So let's dive back into the submitted Q&A. George has a really good question here. When we create a new permanent hazard, will it go on the map in real time, or will they have to wait till the tile update?
It's a good question. First of all, it's not in the tiles, so it doesn't need the tile update. I don't know the answer about how real time it's going to be.
That's okay. We can follow up on that, and I can answer.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
as
think
well.
because in theory it should be pretty fast because it's a different mechanism than tiles. Let's follow up on this. I want to say immediately, but I'll be careful about it because it's not a mechanism that I directly control. So maybe they added some stuff I don't know about.
And let's take one from chat real quick. Bryce wants to know how SOON will we see these two phases be launched in the WME and then after the app? I realize we didn't give any timelines when you both were speaking before.
That's true. So phase one is honestly, it can be in WME very soon, my soon, like within weeks in theory, once we iron out the bugs, a few bugs, pesky bugs that we found. But the client side is what currently delays us. So I think it will be, I'm a bit reluctant to give time frames, but let's say a small amount, like a few months. I don't know, I don't want to say 2 months or 1 month or 3 months, but let's say a few months. Phase two is a bit further down the road, but it's already in design phases. So just to give you an idea on the phases, WME is pretty much finished for phase one. Phase two is currently in final discussions prior to the actual design phase, phase two.
I want to say I'm not ignoring the speed limit questions in chat. I just want you all to save them for our next guest, Tom, because he's going to be speaking specifically about speed limit and can maybe even go into how this is going to integrate into permanent hazards in the future. So from Nate, looking at the existing schedule list, is that filtered by location? Do the folks in New York need to see the schedules that were created for California, for example?
Excellent question.
We just had
do you want to answer it or do you want me to answer it?
You can go for it. Go ahead.
Okay. Um, it's first of all, we haven't finalized anything yet, but our idea right now is that it will, when you set a template, assuming you have a permission, let's say that they're a country manager and you have a permission for all states, you can say which states can use that template, because some templates might be true for some states, some templates might not be true for other states. So assuming you put a template that is global for all states, then yes, it will be visible from New York and from California. But if you set a template that is only true for California, then New Yorkers will not even see that template unless someone goes and adds this to the New York templates as well. It's a check. It's going to be like a multiple selection of which states does this apply to. I hope I answered that.
Sure thing. So next up, who do we got? From Jorg, will it still be named school area? Also, we have time-based speed limits, for example, old people's homes. So it's beyond just a school zone.
So it's still a polygon though? That's my question. If the answer is yes, then amazing. It means you find us another use case for another type of hazard that we will need to add. So if it's an area and not a specific road, then we should be able to fairly easily add it as a different type of hazard that will behave the same, but will not say school zone and will not show kids running, maybe older people going with the with the
wheelchair or something.
Not chair, with the legs thing.
Walker.
Yeah.
Walker.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think there's a lot of other uses as well. I know we've been using UCOMs to warn users when they're entering these ZTL lanes in Italy, for example, or like other things that it'd be really wonderful to slap a polygon over some segments and then have a more customized product-based warning rather than a obtrusive UCOM, for sure. So a follow-up from Jorg, or a second question, is there a main sheet from which the scheduler gets the country regional vacation days?
There's no sheet as far as I know. However,
well, we do have the holidays that we're inputting for routing anyways. That's part of something that's set by the community. I'm actually running that this year, and we have so we have some stuff going on with all of your country's coordinators right now to define all of the holiday list for Waze that impacts routing. It impacts many different systems that we have. From Silvio, Gil, hazard alerts could be, oh, well, we just talked about this. So let's move on from that one because I have major plans to stop hacking UCOMs to move things into permanent hazards, and Gil already has my list. So from John, for the existing schedules, can they be more specific descriptions, like existing schedule is too generic?
Yeah. It was only for the prototype, and also to explain that this is an existing existing scheduler. And yeah, we will need to think about how we are naming those schedulers and maybe provide instructions for naming or something like that. But yes, for sure.
Awesome. An anonymous question. I'm not sure whether it was said, but will speed cameras later be changed so that they snap to the segments just like permanent hazards?
I thought I mentioned it, but if not, then the answer is yes. The plan is to migrate all the old hazards to the new mechanism, so they will behave the same and will snap, and then you can set the directionality. Instead of turning the camera, you can say where it affects.
Awesome. From Mike, this is a long one. Okay. Will we be able to build from a scheduler template in a region instead of modifying it? For example, using a template for all weekdays excluding holidays would be useful in many places, as long as we have the ability to change the time for each one and not the whole template.
I'm trying to understand the...
So we say like just a generic weekday template, and then they just have to make minor customizations rather than building a whole thing from scratch.
So if I understand, I think, Gil, we just spoke about it today. We said that it won't be possible to take a template and then edit it and keeping to inherit the characteristic of it, but we will add an option to copy a template characteristics to your local to your local scheduler and to do the changes there.
Yeah. So, but we need to remember that once you take a template and you copy it and not refer to it, actually copy it, any change you make from that point will be saved locally, but any change that is made to the template will no longer affect your scheduler.
So it's now 30 after the hour. So this is going to be our last question on this topic. From Lori, make public is not a completely clear description for sharing speed limit schedules. Better wording could be something like share schedule with others or allow others to use the schedule. So this wasn't a question, but a comment.
It's not going to be like this, guys. We're going to change it completely. We're still looking on a way to do it. It's not going to be make public. It's going to be place to edit and create templates. This is ignore this button, please, for now.
Got it. Well, I want to thank you both so much for joining us and showing us what's to come for one of the most longest requested features in all of Waze history. Please stay safe and keep us updated on what's coming down the pipe.
Thank you. And if it's possible to receive all the questions we didn't get time to answer, so we can answer offline, so no question will remain unanswered.
Absolutely. Donit's keeping track of all of that, so we'll make a tricks like usual and send it over to you guys later this week.
Thank you. And thank you so much, everyone, for watching this online and asking the wonderful questions. Thank you.
See you soon.
Nope, she said it.
Nice. Bye, guys.
Alrighty. So my next guest is Waze's newest PM, Tom Spigland. I'm really happy to bring him up. So let's bring up Tom. Hey, Tom, how's it going?
Hello, I'm good.
So welcome to the Waze community. This is your first experience with them. So I am going to throw you to the wolves and abandon you and let you present. So I'll be back for Q&A once you're done.
Sure, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. It's been 3 months since I joined Waze, and it is very exciting. So we're here today to speak about major speed decrease. But before that, let's get to know me a bit better. So as I said, my name is Tom Spigland. I live in Tel Aviv, Israel, with my wife Yoli and our 2 very sweet daughters, Mika and Leah. And when I'm not working, I love spending time at the beach, skiing, and going on off-road trips. So again, very happy to be here. And now let's take a walk down memory lane. And we're going back to the year 2022, where the winner of the Community Hackathon was the major speed decrease idea. We actually have here the original slide from that hackathon of the winning team. And what they were suggesting or pointing is that today drivers are only alerted when they exceed the current speed limit. And their idea was that Waze should also alert drivers about upcoming major speed limit drops. So just to explain, what do we mean by upcoming major speed limit drops? We are referring to a scenario, for example, like we see here in the example, where users drive on a road, which is 110 kilometers per hour, and then there is a speed limit that is significantly lower, in this example, 70 kilometers per hour. And this is challenging. And why this is challenging? Because this can lead to hard braking. And when users hard braking because they are being surprised by a new speed limit, which is significantly lower than the current speed limit, it can be stressful and dangerous for the drivers and their surroundings, especially in cases of bad weather and low visibility. Obviously, this also increases the chances for car accidents, traffic jams, and may also damage the driver's car. So obviously, we would like to avoid these hard and panic brakes. And the solution for this is to alert the users before a major decrease in speed limit, or what we call the coffee cup test. And for those of you who grew up in the late 80s or early 90s, there was a very, don't know if it's a cult movie, but I think it's a famous movie. It was called License to Drive. And like very, very briefly, if you're not familiar with this, in this movie, one of the kids needs to do his driving tests, and the driving testers take the clipboard out, throw the clipboard out of the window, and tell to the kid, "I have this cup of coffee, and I'm going to place it on the top of the dashboard. And if by the end of the driving test the cup will not be spilled, it means that you've passed." And this is exactly what we're trying to do here. We're trying to avoid those heartbreaks, so this cup of coffee will not be spilled. So if we will alert the users, and we will cause to gradual reduction of speed, obviously it will lead to smoother and less stressful drive, higher safety, fewer car accidents, less traffic jams, and lower risk of getting a speeding ticket, which is also pretty nice.
Hey, Tom, on that note, we have a question from the chat that I wanted to put up there. From trucker Garrett, why not give an option to announce any speed limit drops, not just major ones? He's seen this on some newer cars, and it's quite helpful to know when to let go of the gas pedal.
I think there is always, it's a question of trade-off, and we're keep thinking what will be the best user experience in terms of keep popping messages and communicating information to the users while they're driving. And on the other hand, making sure that we are alerting important and life-saving and other types of communication. So this is definitely something that we can. I will explain in a second what is significant decrease.
Awesome.
But this is where we're thinking of the trade-off. Obviously, once we will go live, we will be able to evaluate, and we will keep monitoring it, and we will reach the exact significant decrease that we see that is making the best results. So I hope I answered your questions. As for some data points to validate that we're doing the right thing, so we noticed that significant number of Wazers over speed when we're entering an MSD. MSD is major speed decrease segment. We also looked at some researches that were done in many territories. So we see, for example, that in the UK, 45% of cars exceeds the speed limit on highways, and 15% of Wazers experience a major speed decrease. And here we set a major speed decrease for 35 kilometers per hour or more on a weekly basis on same road type. So how will it work? We are going to add a new alert and pin on map that will be presented to the users before a major speed decrease. It will be presented a few hundreds of meters before the actual new speed limit segment begin. It will be triggered only in navigation mode. And if, as I said, if the new speed limit is at least 35 kilometers per hour slower than the current one. Which is another thing that is important to mention. It will not be displayed if users already drive at the new speed limit. This means that if, for example, my new speed limit is 60 kilometers per hour and I'm already driving 55 kilometers per hour, I won't see this alert because it makes no sense to show it for users that are already driving the authorized speed. And we will also have what we call familiarity capping. It means that users that are driving on the same road day after day won't, so these type of users will not see the alert over and over every day because we want to make sure that they're focusing on driving and on navigating the way and not seeing alerts that they will be familiarized with. So this is how the alert will look like. It will surface before the new speed limit segment. We will indicate the new speed limit inside the alert. In this case, you see 30 kilometers per hour. We will obviously mention the distance to the new speed limit segment, and we will also have a pin on map with the new speed. Now, in terms of development, we are going to support 95% of the new speed limits. Due to some technical limitation, we're not going to support 100%. So for the 5%, which we will not support of the range of speeds, users that will encounter in such a scenario will see this warning sign instead of the new speed limit. But most of the users, as I said, 95% of the users will see the new speed limit indication, and we are also going to localize it in most of our regions. So for this, in this example, you can see that in the US, users will see the speed sign the way they used to see it, and not as a general speed sign. This is basically it. I also want to mention that while we're working on this feature, we are also thinking about what's next. And we're keeping in mind that we want to have a holistic view of all the alerts that we're surfacing. And this is why we keep thinking on how to combine the new speed limit with other alerts, and as well as having one alert with all the required information.
Alrighty, so what I want to do first before we jump to the regular Q&A is go through some of these that are coming in chat, because we just got bombarded with like 10 or 15 questions. So I'm going to go back up here into the chat and start throwing some up here, and then we'll take it from there.
Sure.
So, okay, the first big question I saw is, the question is when will users receive this alert? Will it happen the segment before, 200 meters before? Like, when is this going to be triggered?
So it won't be a segment before. It will be questions of it will be some sort of calculation of distance and time. We're still gathering the information, but basically we're thinking of alerting the users sufficient time before the new speed limit segment, so they will have enough time to make a gradual decrease of speed.
So I just want to mention a comment that Lisa made in the chat, that if you have any suggestions for additional functionalities for the feature, please add them to the Waze WME user voice, and then that way we'll be able to keep track of them, and more importantly, get your votes on which functionalities you want to see the most. So that's always monitored by staff, and we'll make sure that that gets to Tom as well.
If you don't mind, I already picked up some questions or maybe a discussion in the chat. So I just want to clarify.
From which one? I'll put it up on the screen.
No, I'm seeing here that people are debating about whether we should show it for every change of speed or only a significant change of speed. So we check the data, and we definitely don't want to show it for all the users 20 times per session, because we think that it will just take over of all of your drive. So when we check the data, we notice that if we will show it for a range which is less than 35 kilometers per hour, we actually, it means that it will surface a lot for our users, in some cases more than 5 or 10 times per session. So we're definitely, this is, by the way, it's going to be configurable. We're going to start with 35 kilometers per hour. We based this number on the data that we collected. And, you know, like we always do, we'll look at the data, we'll hear the feedback from the community, and we might do some tweaks in order to adjust it and to make sure that it provides value and sense to our users.
I saw a couple of questions about localization. This one from John: is the map going to be displayed as a speed sign for like the white and black square like it is in the US, or is it always going to be the red circle?
No, so so here you can see an example for the US speed sign.
Amazing.
On the right side. So it is going to be localized in most of our regions.
I saw someone else had asked as well if it's going to be possible to show the MPH or KPH there, or are we just going to show the number?
We're just going to show the number for now.
Great. There was a couple of others I wanted to look at here in the chat. But maybe actually, Dani, let's just switch over to the submitted questions, and then if there's ones in chat that we didn't cover, they can resubmit them. So the first one from ABC 1357, can we use temporary speed limit for construction zones? For example, a road is under construction from April 1st to November 1st. The speed limit is reduced by 10 miles per hour, kilometers per hour. Can we set this, and on November 2nd, the speed limit goes back to the original speed limit?
So at the moment, we didn't consider a temporary significant decrease of speed. It's a question of how the new speed will be stored on our side, but we will look into it and see if this is something that that can be added.
Here's a general one from Kathy in the chat. If this is a feature for a user for some reason that they don't want to see it, are they going to be able to disable it, or is this going to be for
they will have an option to opt in or out from the settings section.
Awesome.
By the way, maybe not on the phase 1, but it will come like by the time we will have a general rollout, it will be this option will be live.
Speaking of, before we get to Bryce's question, I noticed also in chat above, someone had asked about in-car systems as well. Is this going to be both in the Waze app and an in-car?
Yes.
Amazing. So Bryce's question: will school zone and construction zone be able to omit the threshold? These are generally double fines and demerit points. Oh, interesting. I feel like this might be a really specific case we need to take a deeper look at.
Yeah.
All right.
At the moment, it's the range of 35 kilometers per hour. So whether it will change or not, it's one size fits all.
Next up from Jorg, how will the alert be displayed on an in-car system? I think it's probably pretty similar to what you guys saw in the client, right?
Yes, I mean it depends on some of the in-car systems. We have templates, but the distance and the new speed limit will be displayed.
Great. Next up from Ian, I think this needs to work both when navigating and also when not navigating. A lot of drivers have Waze running for speed camera and average speed zone information without actually navigating. This is actually a really important use case. A lot of our community members and a lot of drivers just free drive with Waze to get the alerts, even if they don't have a route established. So will this still function even without a route?
So at the moment, without a route, it will not be functioning. But we will. It's a good feedback, and we will look into it and see if we can make sure that it's working also in roaming or not.
And from Pete, will there be an adjustment for countries that use imperial units? Because 35 kilometers per hour is 21.
Sure. Yeah.
So a 25 mile per hour change is much less common than a 20 in the US. So we might need to just be more sensitive about that.
We looked at the data based on countries, and where countries that are using mile per hours, we have the numbers for those countries, and it's localized in that essence.
Awesome. And from Jean-Francois, would it be linked to the distance time driven at a certain speed before the decrease? So I think we covered that before already, that there will be significant lead time.
Yes.
So from Ian, this needs to be an option, not on all the time. I would want it on when driving in a new area, and I would want to turn it off when I'm driving around my local area. So yeah, we covered that before. This will be
This is the familiarity capping that I was referring to.
amazing. Anonymous question, please bring back the speed limit update request category. Currently, Wazers are just reporting general error. So this, we actually, Tom, I don't know if you have inside knowledge on this. I do, because this is something we're actually working on right now for the US. The report menu team is very well aware of this need, and we are discussing it now, the best way to move forward, whether that will be a report category that is reinstated or something else, we don't know yet, but we are very well aware that this is a report that you all need to properly process all the URs you're receiving when the speed limits are wrong. Tom, did you have anything else to add to that?
No.
Cool. From John, related to my question about the sign, I'm referring to the round sign that is shown on the map itself, not on the bottom. Will that be a square? In the mock-up, it's round.
I believe it will be a square. Yes. We will make sure it's a square.
All right, we'll double check.
He's referring to the pin on the map, and
yeah,
yes,
here
this is a mock. This is a mock, but yes, it will be a square.
Great. So let's go back to here. Perfect. Next question, please. Danny, can you move us to the next question, please? I don't know what's going on there. We're out of questions. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm just gonna comb back through the chat really quick to make sure we got to everything. But if not, Tom. Oh, wait. One from William. All right. Speed limit decrease should consider your current speed compared to the upcoming limit.
So what we're looking at is the current speed limit and the new speed limit. I mentioned before that if, for example, a driver is driving in a lower speed than the new speed limit, we won't surface the alert. But what we're actually triggering is the difference between the new speed limit and the current speed limit. I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely. And I think I just want to put this one up as well from Mike. To combine a scheduler for permanent hazards, it allows you to update speed limits on those segments for construction zones. I will say there's a method to our madness and a reason we put these two topics together today. It's something that I personally would love to see. And there's so much potential in the features that we're showing you today. Tom, any last words before we sign off?
No, thanks. Thank you for your questions and for your input. And we're definitely going to look at the things that you've mentioned here. And it was a nice experience, nice first experience for me.
It was really great to have you, and thanks so much for joining us.